What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is The Deep Corner, episode 18. I'm Rob St. Clair, and a very special guest on the show today. From Team Pineapple, Mr. Bruno Amorim da Silva. Welcome to the show.
Hey, buddy. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for hopping on. Welcome home, first of all. You've got a crazy last couple months of travel and volleyball and overseas experience and all this stuff that has led you finally back home to Indiana. And I want to get to all of that. Let's start. So you were playing overseas professional volleyball indoor in Saudi Arabia, which was your second year with that team, right? And you thought that you might be done going overseas to play, but you decided to give it one more shot when the same team came to you with the contract, right? So tell me what went into the decision to go back to Saudi Arabia to play one more season.
Right. First of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here with you guys. Um, well, I remember last time we spoke, I told you that I was pretty much done going overseas, and I was happy at home with the family, playing with Team Pineapple, coaching high school, playing the AVP. But the way my last season finished, it wasn't, the ideal way to be done playing overseas. I got hurt on the semifinal. We were up 2-1, 23-19, game four to make to the finals. And I hurt my biceps, So my season was, that's how, my season was done. It's not a nice way to be done over playing overseas after so many years, staying healthy and competing in a higher level. Uh, when I got the phone call, spoke to my wife, spoke a bunch of my daughter as well, and we decided that was the best decision, for the family. So it wasn't a full season; it was only 3 months. It was a good contract, going to the same club, playing with the same guys that I already know. So it was good. It was good until the Corona appeared, showed up. So
Yeah, then everything changed. Everything changed for everyone worldwide. But I'm uniquely interested in how it affected everybody like you that was playing volleyball overseas. Like everybody who was halfway across the world from home, playing volleyball as their career, and all of a sudden that's just gone. Like in a day, maybe even less. It's just from
right,
normal.
it's crazy
Yeah,
the way.
you're training, you're practicing, and then the next minute it's just over. And so that left you in Saudi Arabia with really nothing to do and trying desperately to get home. So talk us through how it kind of went when your season you were playing in the playoffs, right? And then your season all of a sudden was over, and then you tried to get home. Talk us through the last couple weeks.
Uh, well, the way we got the news was very disappointing. We played against the best team in Saudi. We just beat them in 4 sets. My roommate and I went to grab a good dinner. Went home, do the same thing. We always do after a match. Played games, watch a little bit of film before going to bed. The day after, we woke up in the morning, head to the gym for a recovery session. And on the way back home, we saw a bunch of trucks, from the government, blocking the roads, closing the boards. And I was like, what's going on? My body say, I don't know, man. Just look straight, just drive home, and let's get home as soon as we can. I said, all right, cool. And then, just thinking about what we saw and wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
By that time, the coronavirus was around China only, like in our mind, we didn't get a bunch of information in Saudi. The same evening, that day, the manager of the club, he called us. He told us that we would not be allowed to go to the gym anymore. The gym was 25 minutes away from where we lived, and we lived in a small city, the eastern province of Dammam. And they told us that the boards were closed for us to go to the gym. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you cannot go past that point because the government just closed the roads. I'm like, okay, so what now? Are we going to be able to practice? What's going to happen to volleyball? They said, we don't know yet. As soon as we have more information, we will give it to you guys. I was like, okay. By that time, the coach, Marcus, and myself, we still would go to the school to practice one time per day around 6 p.m. And 2 days after they closed the roads, they closed the schools as well. They closed the school. They put the curfew. We start from 3 p.m. to 6 a.m. So
You couldn't
my
go. You couldn't leave the house after 3 p.m.
we couldn't leave the house after practice.
Wow.
So my body and I, when we talk with the coach, hey coach, come on, we have to go to school to train 6 a.m. and then we go back to school again around the 1 p.m. so we can still get 2 workouts in. Our head coach is from Serbia, and he was like, "Hey, I'm not messing with that. The president of the club told us not to go to the school. Here's the key. If you wanna go, it's on you." I was like, "All right, give me the key. I'm going."
Okay.
Oh, I cannot stay in the house for like 24 hours without working out,
Right.
without doing anything. So my body and I, we would get to school around 6, come back, eat, sleep, kind of try to keep the same routine. Around 1 p.m., we would, boom, go to school again and get another workout in, come back home. And we did that for the first 10 days. After that, they implemented 24 hours curfew. And that was the time. That was when I was like, wow, we need to get the heck out of
I
here.
need to go home. Yeah.
We need to get out of here, you know. And I'm always talking to my wife here. I'm like, this is what's going on. We still don't know if we are going to finish the season now. There's zero information. We don't know what's going on. You know, they were not very communicative with us. So she would ask me questions, and I'd say, I don't know.
I just don't know the answer.
I don't know the answers. And that starts eating me up, you know, not knowing what's going to happen. And I start calling the American embassy, the Brazilian embassy, say, hey, what's going on? I was talking to my president every day. And he was like, hey, so far we don't know. I'm calling the Saudi Federation, Volleyball Federation. As for now, they don't have a clear answer to give it to us, so I can't give you anything. I'm like, but do you think we are going to be playing in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or anything? He said, I don't think so. I say, well, I would like to go home.
Let's go home. Yeah.
I want to go home. And by that time, we could not play. The clubs from the Eastern Province, we could not play. But all the other clubs around Saudi Arabia, they could play. So we were 10 days blocked, locked. We couldn't go anywhere. And the league was going on. And you're like, we have 2 men. And, you know, living my life. They said, no, we can't leave. We can't do anything. And I was like, man, that's going to be tough. And somehow, around April 6th, I got an email from the American consulate in Dammam saying that there will be a repatriation flight from Saudi to DC.
Okay.
Okay, that's my window. I gotta
get me on that plane.
I gotta go home. So jump on the phone, call the airline company. They booked my tickets. I was like, okay, cool. Start packing my stuff. Told my wife. I was stoked. I was the happiest man in earth. The night before the flight, around 8 p.m., they called me and they told me, hey, Bruno, I'm sorry to tell you, but we are not going to be able to leave tomorrow. I'm like, what do you mean? No, because you're in Qatif. The entire city is in quarantine. I'm like, so you're telling me that I cannot leave because I'm in this area right here, in this tiny little area.
This little town, yeah.
Yeah, and I cannot leave because of it. He said, yes. According to the government, you guys being quarantined and you cannot leave. I'm like, you kidding? No, you can't. I'm like, no. That's not possible. And I called the embassy and they're like, Bruno, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. And my entire world crashed. I was mad. You know, I called my wife. I told her the news. You know, she was upset on this side of the world. I was upset there. My body, Mark's, you know, he was like, hey, Bruno, relax, man. Just stay here. You know, we're safe. You know, we have food. We have all this stuff to do here. Don't worry, man. You know, and it was tough for me to swallow that. You know, they're telling me that I cannot leave because I was in this little town, but everything else around the country was
fine.
You know, was fine. And that was probably the toughest thing to deal with. And a week later, by the time they called me to cancel my flight, the government put the entire country in quarantine.
Right.
So I understood, and I put in my mind, I said, well, there's another flight, okay, I'm leaving. There's
Yeah.
no thing, because if somebody from a different city that is also in quarantine, they're going to leave, I'm leaving. I don't care if I have to escape or whatever. And
So how long did it take to finally get that flight? What day did you land in DC?
last week,
Last week.
I landed here April 18, 5:50 p.m.
And then drove all the way to Indiana, right?
Drove all the way to Indiana. You know, I was exhausted because I left home. I left that little town, Katif, 1 a.m. on the 17th. We drove 5 hours to the airport. I sat at the airport for like 4 hours. Got on a plane, 14 hours straight. Landed in DC, rented a car, and drove 8 hours to Indiana.
Wow.
I didn't want to wait for another connection. I didn't want to be around people. I just want to get back to my family.
Go.
You know?
Well, you did. You finally did, and I know your wife Kim, your daughter Athena are happy to have you home, man. That is a crazy travel story.
Yeah, man, this experience, you know. Thank God I was able to make it home, and you know, some other people they still there. You know, some of my friends they still there. You know, and I can only imagine what they're going through right now, and I feel sorry for them, man. It's rough.
Yeah.
Rough.
Well, let's talk some volleyball. I want to get into all the volleyball that you've done in your life around the world. You have one of the most amazing, like, well-rounded volleyball worldwide experiences. But first, where did it all begin? Growing up in Brazil, what was the first kind of moment that you remember kind of falling in love with the game of volleyball?
Right. I started playing volleyball. I was 15 to 16 years old. And I was a big soccer player. I used to love playing soccer, you know. My dad played soccer. My sister played soccer. And I was like, man, I want to play soccer too. And my parents moved from São Paulo downtown, big, huge city. And I'm going to give you an example. I was living in New York, and I have to come back, and I have to move to Centerville.
Exactly to India. Yeah.
You know, it was a shock. And they didn't have any soccer team.
Okay.
And after school one day, I went to see my sister and my cousin practice volleyball. And I was just sitting there, zone, and they're just playing, just having a good time, just sitting there. And they missed a guy to play 6-on-6. They missed, and their coach asked me, "Hey, you want to play?" I was like, "Nah, thanks, I'm fine." No, come on, man. You're gonna ruin the entire practice if you don't play. I was like, okay, cool. I went there. Had no idea how to set the ball, how to pass a ball. I would just jump and hit the ball against the basket, like straight out. Boom, boom. They're like, Bruno, we gotta control that. Say, control what?
I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm already here. I'm already, in the middle of the practice. Just let me be. And after that practice, their coach came to talk to me, and they asked if I want to enjoy the city's team, the team that would play the state championship, just to train with them a few times to see if I like volleyball. And that's how it started. I went there the next day, 10 a.m., practiced a little bit. The head coach was crazy. He would cuss everybody out. I was like, wow, I'm 16 years old, and this guy wants me to win the world championship. It's my first time playing volleyball.
Right.
Give me a break, And he was like, hey, that's how it's going to be. Okay, if you want to stay in my team, that's how I coach. I was like, okay, cool. All the other guys were cool with the way he would, he would coach. And I stayed. After 3 months, we played the state championship. We lost in the second round to a team that I would play for them right after this championship. So that's when I started playing volleyball for real. 2000. After 3 months, I went to the national team playing volleyball for the under 19. We won national championship, state championship. 7 tournaments in one season. So that's how I really got in love for the game.
And it all started because you had to fill in and be the 12th guy in a practice. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's how it
So
started.
you're the first internationally born guy I've gotten on the show, and something I've really wanted to ask a lot of people is the difference between how the U.S. develops athletes and versus how it's done in the rest of the world, and in volleyball in particular, because it it's been common recently for a lot of international players are coming to play in the NCAA in college in the U.S. Like
Right.
when guys turn 18, 19 or so, they'll come to the U.S. and play in college and further their careers that way. But for most of the world and for most of the last several decades of existence of volleyball, that's really not how it's been done. Usually it's kind of the club system, at least I know
Yeah.
in Europe it is. So can you describe, now that you've been coaching high school in the US for a little while, can you describe what is similar and what's different between how the US and Brazil deal with like developing young players?
What I admire the most here is the difference in between Brazil and US when it comes to volleyball. It's in Brazil, you play volleyball and then you go to school.
Okay.
In the States, you go to school, then you play volleyball. It's a privilege in the States to play volleyball, And there in Brazil, uh, it's a way out for a lot of people, just like it was for me, a way out of the streets and drugs and all that stuff, that bad stuff that goes in a third world country. And, and here in the States, if you don't do well in school, they will take your volleyball away.
That's right.
So there in Brazil, they would tell me to skip school. Okay, I would be fine in school just to be at practice, to be in a match. And that's one of the things that I admire the most here in the States. Education first, and then volleyball comes second.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. So you mentioned that you had played on state teams, national teams, the U19 Brazilian team. What point did you decide that volleyball was going to be your career? Like that was what you were going to do, was to play volleyball for your living?
But it was right in my first season playing for real. I remember there is a match we lost away, and we were 16. Okay, we were playing a league under 19, so we are 16, 17 years old playing against
18,
older
19
players,
year olds, yeah.
and there's a huge difference physically.
Huge.
Yeah, and we got beat against a big club from São Paulo, and on the way back in the bus, the coach was just yelling at us, and I was just laying back trying to relax, and we got to our house. He used to live in. And this coach just talking to us, we shouldn't lose the way we did, blah 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 blah. And he came to me, say, "Hey Bruno, why did you miss so many serve?" And I told him, "Hey coach, you always told us to trust our serve, to trust our practice.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, okay, I'm gonna do what I do in practice, and that's what I did in the game. But you compromised the entire team, missing that many serve, blah blah." I say, "Coach, if you're not happy, next time just sub, and that's fine. There's other guys in the team that can play." And he went off on me, "Dude, I gave you everything, you had nothing, blah 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 blah," cussing me out. I was like, you know what? I start crying, and I want to leave. I say, "Hey man, I don't need this crap, blah blah blah. I want to grab my stuff. I'm gone." The other players trying to, "Hey Bruno, come down. This is not the way we should take care of the situation." The head coach, the assistant coach, took me to another room, and he sat in the chair and say, "Listen to what I'm going to say. You can have everything you want playing volleyball. You can get your education, you can get your family, you can get a house, you can get a car, all that stuff that you dream of. Okay, you can get playing volleyball." And I was kind of, and he was talking to me. By the time he said that, I kind of, wiped the tears off my face. I said, "All right," said, "Hey, let's go back to the meeting. Sit there, don't say anything." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I went back to the living room, sat on the same spot I was sitting there, didn't say a word for the next week. I would just show up to practicing, get after, just hammer. Would miss a ball, hey, again. Would miss a ball again, and again. I would go to the assistant coach, "Hey, I need some extra reps. When can I get time to work on my serve?" Like, hey, we don't have time after practice. I said, well, no problem. You can come before practice,
Yeah.
before practice, before school. So I would wake up 5:15 in the morning, head back to school just to train, take shower, train again, go back, eat, come back to practice around 2, and then go home, eat dinner, and go to school later in the night. So
Wow.
that was my way to deal with the challenge that the coach was, giving to me.
Yeah, well, you figured that, like you said, that was kind of your way out. It was your coach made a good point where all the things that you want, the things you want to have in your life, could be there through volleyball, and you're like, okay, and then you set an example for anybody to follow, and you just worked really, really hard. You just got all the reps in the world. You got extra reps, and that's something that any volleyball player, any athlete can learn from right there.
Right. And the funny fact of that situation is I ended up playing for that coach another 3 seasons. Okay. I went to Kuwait. I played in Kuwait 2 years, and we were losing the finals, semifinals. And I wanna change clubs. I wanna go somewhere else. And the management came to me and say, hey, we want you to stay here. Okay, we'll give you a better contract, and we're gonna bring a setter. I said, that's not gonna do it. Okay, if you want me to stay, I'm gonna bring the coach.
Oh,
And they're like, yeah, no problem. I bring the coach. Send us his CV and his bio, and we'll talk. I said, all right, cool. So the coach signed with the club, and we played 49 matches that season. We lost 1-3-2. We won
wow.
everything, man. We won everything. That was crazy.
That's amazing. This is the same coach that almost made you leave the team years before.
Right at the
That's
same time.
amazing.
Clovis, that's a father that's a guy that they consider as a dad for me, man. It was a game changer. It was a life changer for me, man.
Yeah, that's
That was
incredible. So, can you name all of the countries that you have played in, or are there too many to remember right now?
I played my first experience outside of Brazil was in Argentina.
Hmm.
Then I went back to Brazil, played one other season in Brazilian Super League, and then I went to Uruguay, went to Portugal, came back to Brazil for another 2 seasons. I went to Switzerland where I met my wife, playing pro as well. Puerto Rico, Iran, Kuwait, Qatar, Tunisia, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia. Yeah, I think that's it. I might forgot one or
That's
two.
amazing. That's an
Yeah,
incredible list. And through all of those countries, all those years of playing, you've gotten to play with and against some of the absolute best players in the world.
right.
Take the opportunity now. You can name drop some people. Who are the best or your favorite players you've ever played with or against?
Well, was something else to play against Murillo, against Giba, against Ricardinho.
Yeah.
I had the honor to play with Talmo. He won the Olympics 1992. Jorge Edson, he was on that squad as well. Anderson, the right side from the Brazilian national team. I played with him as well. And definitely playing with the Pineapple guys, playing with Lloyd, Pitak, Will. Man, just such an honor to be around those guys and always learn from them.
Oh yeah, totally. I want to talk about Team Pineapple a little bit later. I've talked with some guys on the show about differences in American volleyball from region to region, and you've been in the U.S. now for long enough. You might have been able to figure out like kind of that. I think the Midwest, at least on the men's side, the Midwest plays a little bit of a different style than California does and the West Coast does.
Right.
But a more extreme version of that is country to country style differences in volleyball. And with all the countries that you've played in, particularly I think Brazil having their particular style of volleyball, what differences have you seen between volleyball in the U.S., volleyball in Brazil, and volleyball kind of everywhere else?
Right. I feel like here in the U.S., you guys are more concerned about keeping the ball in game. Like let's trust our skills.
Okay.
If it's a bad set, just put the ball on the other side and let's trust our defense, our block. In the other countries, especially in Brazil, we go for the do or die. It's with volleyball for us, for the way I grew up playing, the way I still play until now. It's like it's 2 contacts on the volleyball up and 1 down.
Down.
It's 1, 2, 3, done. There's no rallies, we don't keep a bunch. And here in the US, I'm learning, more how to become an all-around player. You know, patience, keep the ball on the block, cover, set up the game again. And that has been one of my favorite things of playing with Team Pineapple. They always tell me, hey, you don't have to kill somebody on the other side. You can take off a little bit, keep the ball in play, and just let the game. Let's play a game. You know, you don't have to try to murder somebody on the other side. And that's something that I took with me this past season in Saudi.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes it helps to have a guy who's just going to terminate, who's going to end the point whenever he touches the ball. Like the point's over one way or another. But at the same time, it never hurts to have a guy who will hit at a higher percentage, like to be smarter, to hit a deep shot, to, I don't know, the reset into the block and self cover or whatever it is. So it's interesting that you think that came from playing a little bit in the U.S. That's cool to hear. So you can play both pins position wise. You can play outside hitter and opposite. I've seen you do both. And I've had a couple guys on the show that are able to do both, and I'm interested in how people approach changing between the two. When you're in the outside hitter spot and you have to pass the ball and serve receive all the time, versus when you're on the right and you don't have to do anything but hit and block. Does that change anything for you and how you approach the game?
Oh yeah, for me, change a big time.
Yeah.
For those guys that they know me very well, they know I'm not a very good receiver. I don't pass the ball very well when it comes to the float serve. And when they came to me and they tell me, Bruno, you're gonna play on the outside this match, and I totally changed my approach to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about scoring the ball as much as if I was starting the right side. My role on that moment, at that match changed. I want to pass the ball well. If I pass the ball well, there's another 4 or 5 guys that can score the ball.
That's true.
So I don't have to think about hitting the ball all the time. So I focus a lot on passing the ball. If I'm on the outside, now on the right side, I talk to my setter right before the match. Say, just feed me. I'm ready. It's kind of annoying, have me as your right side hitter.
Because you're just like, set me.
Every single point I'm whistling, I say, I'm here, man. I'm here. So it definitely changed the approach to the game for sure.
That's really cool, and it's impressive, and it speaks to your volleyball ability to have the ability to play both positions and have the ability to change your mindset, because you're right, the role that you're playing is completely different, and just like what those positions do for the team can be similar or they can be different. It kind of depends on the team. So it's that makes a lot of sense. So you talked a little bit before about all the sand that you've been playing. You've been playing on the AVP tour here in the US. You're the first guy I've had on the show who's had a bunch of really high level sand experience. Talk to me about when you go back and forth between sand and indoor. What does sand help in your indoor game, and what does indoor help in your sand game?
Going from the sand to indoor definitely helps on your court vision, your ball control for sure, and your physical ability as well. I can feel like I'm going a little bit higher, I'm a little bit faster, and I love it. I love when I'm done with the beach season and I have to go straight up to the indoor season.
Yeah, you feel like you're jumping out of the gym.
I feel lighter. I feel like 10 years younger. And but there's one thing that is really hard for me to adjust going back and forth to the beach and the indoor is the physical training.
Okay.
I like to go to the gym and lift as much weight as possible in a smarter way. But when I'm preparing for the beach, I cannot lift as heavy as I would like to. So my body doesn't feel tight as I want to. My serve doesn't go hard as I want, as it used to go when I'm playing door, hitting as well. It's just the game just goes, it's lower.
Yeah.
I feel lower. That's a hard thing for me to adjust, the physical part of going back and forth, same to indoor.
Okay.
But it's fun, man. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. It's sand. They're so the games are, they're rooted in the same skills, sand versus indoor, but they're so different. They feel different to play and they feel different to watch, and I love the kind of dichotomy between those. So
It's a definitely it's a different sport.
oh yeah.
It's volleyball, but it's not volleyball.
Yeah, it's not. If you've been playing indoor for 10 years, you're starting like from day one. When you go to the sand for the first time, you feel like you're lost. So you mentioned that you've been coaching a good bit since you moved to the U.S. You've been coaching high school. You've been helping Kim coach college. You've coached a lot of camps at a lot of different levels. I've found this out recently because I was coaching a college club team last year. I find it really hard for me to separate being a coach from being a player in kind of my volleyball head. Like every time I'm around the game, even when I'm commentating matches, which I love doing, I just want to play. I want to play all the time. When you're coaching, does it drive you nuts that you can't play, or have you figured out how to, flip a switch in your brain and become a coach?
I'm getting better on just being a coach. The first couple of years here, I would coach from inside the court, in the middle of the drill. And I think that's something that some of the players, they enjoy because, players, they are smart, or they think they are very smart. So you tell them to do a drill, okay? And they kind of look at you like, I don't think that works, blah, blah, blah. And they doubt your word,
But if you do it.
But you go there, you step on the court and you show them how do you want done, then they buy the idea faster. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I love coaching Kim, because she always says, hey, Bruno, go show them this. Or she's on the gym passing the ball, say, Kim, can you show them how to pass the ball from their left? And the players can see that. So that is very, very helpful for a player.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's how I like to do it too. If I feel like I understand more what's going on in a practice if I'm just doing it.
Right.
So we're time to finally get to Team Pineapple, man. You got the Team Pineapple shirt on. You moved to Indiana, but when was the first time you got in touch with Team Pineapple? What was your first experience with Team Pineapple like? Like where does the TP story begin for you?
Right. I met a guy when I played in Puerto Rico in 2010, Ivan Matos.
Yeah.
And we were always in touch at Purdue camp or some beach tournaments, small beach volleyball tournaments. And he was like, dude, you have to come to play for us. I'm talking to Lloyd since day one that you moved to the U.S. that you got to play with us. I say, dude, I don't have time, man. I have with the family, we have camps to run. I have to go back to overseas. I say, dude, forget it. Forget those small beach volleyball tournaments. You got to play for the team. And I always like, hey, I can't. When I was done going overseas, he called me and said, hey, there's no excuse anymore. You got to come to play. You got to come to play.
He got you.
Yeah, and I met Lloyd a few times playing at Empowered at Will's place, playing on the sand, and he's like, hey, Bruno, come on, man. Big boy pants on, come to play for us. And I say, all right, let's do it. I went to play my first match with them, and man, I don't want to play for anybody else around here. It's such an honor. At first, I was like, wow, I'm finally doing it. I always looked up to Lloyd, to Will, to P-Tac, to Jorge, and to be able to watch those guys playing that close and to be a part to train with them and to play with them. It was amazing. It was such an amazing experience.
It really is a family that they've built, isn't it? And talk to me about the family thing a little bit more. How quickly do you think you were kind of adopted into the Team Pineapple family? Right away?
Oh, right away. By the time I stepped on the gym, they were warming up, and Lloyd came, gave me a high five, gave me a hug. Hey, man, about time. So good to have you. Jeff Tic-Tac just came from behind, kind of choked me like, hey, I knew Will from beach tournaments, and Ivan as well, but it was amazing, man. It was such a great experience. I will never forget my first time playing with those guys.
What's playing with Lloyd Ball like? What's just on a volleyball perspective? Where does he rank on setters you've ever played with? What's it like having a setter with that resume, that experience, and also being that tall? That might be kind of different.
I know. It's he's definitely the best setter I played with. Okay, and and the first time playing with him was so hard to me because he released the ball such a high contact point
Yeah.
that matched the timing. So I'm used to that C pass, to that medium set. It takes time to get from a short setter for the ball to get to its peak.
Yeah.
From playing with Lloyd, the pace of the game was so much faster. I was kind of lost, And it was so funny because Ivan came to me. It's like, Cabron, you hit the ball. I'm like, dude, the ball just that's too fast. He said, talk to Lloyd. In time, I'm like, you're telling me to tell Lloyd that the ball is not what I want? You crazy, man? He's
He's
like,
Lloyd Ball.
my ball. He's always right. And he was like, no, 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 no. That's not a good set for you. You have to tell them. I'm like, I'm not telling anybody, man. I'm going to speed up my approach and I'm going to try to hit the ball he's setting me. So it was very fun. It was very fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever be able to tell Lloyd Ball not to set the way he's setting me. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Man, that's a great story. I can't wait to finally get back on the floor or get back, behind a microphone and watch you guys play and finally get some volleyball back in front of the people. I can't wait to just, get the VLA finally off the ground, get some matches played. But until then, we're kind of stuck here doing what we're doing. I'm going to keep making this show. We're going to keep having awesome storytellers like Bruno on the show. So with all that you've been through the last couple weeks, that's being in Saudi and not being able to come home, you have a unique kind of perspective on this whole current quarantine lockdown situation. If there's any motivation or any advice you think that the general public needs to hear in this time where people are feeling a little bit down these days, what would you say?
I first of all would like to say that a lot of people, myself, including myself, we take things for granted, and being a situation like we are in right now, make us think and reflect about our actions a lot. So my advice to people out there is especially to stay positive, man. Stay positive. Try to keep your mind busy with the right thing, with the right information. There's a lot of information out there. I see people, especially social media. I see people arguing about things that we don't have control. My advice to people is to focus on things that we can control, okay, and just try to connect to people, just reconnect to people. I'm in touch to my dad, my family down in Brazil every day, and before this coronavirus, I wouldn't do that every day. So it's definitely focus on things we can control and stay positive. There's a power above us, that can control most of the things around us. That's God. We have to have faith and that, this shall pass.
It will. It will pass, and we will be out there playing volleyball, hopefully sooner rather than later. So that's great words. I hope that all like 30-something thousand of your Instagram followers watch this and hear those words. Everybody kind of needs that right about now.
Right on, buddy. Right on, man. Just positive, man. That's the new money right now. Stay positive is the new money.
That's right. Bruno, thank you so much, man, for hopping on the show. It's been awesome to hear the stories. You've been everywhere in the world playing volleyball, and now the only thing left we have to do is to finally get back on the floor and show the people what's up. So it's only a matter of time. But until then, buddy, thanks so much for hopping on. We will make sure that as many people hear this show as possible.
Right on, buddy. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that, and we'll do whatever we can to get this train going sooner than later.
That's right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see everyone next time.
All right, buddy. Take it easy, man. Stay safe.